All right, Max, thanks for joining us at the Charles Schwab Challenge here in Fort Worth. Just what's the week been like so far? Obviously, kind of just getting the momentum going after last week and kind of putting that behind you, and your game is trajecting in the right path. So just being here, what are you working on this week?
It was nice to get out and play a golf course that wasn't as hard as last week. So that was fun. I played with Tony Finau today, and he said, he hit a couple chips off the back of the first green and looked at his caddy and said, "Oh, I am good at chipping." So difficult last week. So it's nice to come to an otherwise hard golf course, but it feels, a lot simpler. Didn't play great last week, but saw some good things. Had a good grind for 4 days. Looking forward to making less bogeys and more birdies. But I love being at this event. It's one of my favorite golf courses all year, so it's always exciting to come to Fort Worth.
It's currently the longest standing non-major event on PGA Tour. Just overall, what does that mean to you? And like you said, this is a special event to you. Why is that?
Yeah, the tradition here is cool. Obviously, Ben Hogan, Mr. Hogan, he's got his clubs here. Made this place. Them two are synonymous, and that's special. Obviously, we come to a lot of pretty amazing places out here, and we're lucky to play some tremendous golf courses, but you add some of that history to it, it makes it even more special. So it's always a cool vibe here. The city turns out really nicely for it. It has some meeting to the area, which is cool. And again, when you come to a golf course, you like and respect how it's laid out. That adds to, I think, a lot of people's love for this place. So it's nice to see that it stands the test of time, and it's done such a good job of being a mainstay on this tour.
So talking about last week, you're saying, it was a very difficult course. There's someone that's joining you this week that kind of had a different story last week. He got the last exemption. Michael Block, just being around that atmosphere last week and what he did, just what does that mean for the game, and overall your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, it's awesome. I've known Michael for a little bit. He's a legend in Southern California. I played a professional golf tournament with him back in the day. I think it was the SoCal Open or the California Open, and it's always amazing to see someone who it's like if you go to the U.S. Amateur or the U.S. Mid-Am and you just see how great those players are. They have a job. I spend all my days here practicing only golf. That's all I have to do, and he can still whoop me real good. So it was amazing to see. Obviously, that event has that attraction that 20 PGA professionals play, and to see him not only play great but enjoy it so much and get appreciated by the fans and appreciate it back, and it was just it was refreshing. And man, that hole in one, I saw him today. I just said the hole in one on 15. I was kind of side eyeing the TV, and it looked fake. I don't think you could have written that one. Even Tin Cup didn't go quite that far. They made him hit 7 more balls before one went in. So that was pretty amazing.
Any questions?
Hey, Max, Stephen Hawkins from the AP. You mentioned how this is one of your favorite courses and how much you like the layout. Obviously, next week they're going to start tearing it up and redoing it. Talk about what you know about that, and do you have any anxiety about that, or what do you feel about that?
I don't know much anything about that, sorry. So, it's always scary when you see a place that I feel like just is so good layout-wise. I don't know if they're changing the layout, but it gets you a little anxious just for it, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an architect junkie. I'm sure they'll make some great decisions, but I do think that they don't need to do much at all to this place. If you want to regrass it or something, that's one thing, but the holes themselves are awesome.
Okay.
Max, you called Michael Block a legend from where you're from. What made him a legend, and why do you think his story last week resonated with so many people?
Well, I just think anytime you have the teaching pros and PGA professionals in your area, there's some that are play some golf, some don't really play much at all anymore, and then you have some people like Michael who are still tremendous at golf. So I think that's what kind of brings the legend of them around. You hear about these people, you see them, you play events with them, and that's so I think that's where that comes from. And to go out last week and beat, it's a major, like everyone's as prepared as you could possibly be, and to go and beat basically everybody, all but 14 people, I mean, that's awesome. It shows you how much game he's got. It shows you his mental fortitude. But again, as much as all that was impressive, just the joy he had while playing, and all of that was, I think that's what stuck out the most.
Right here, Dean.
Yeah, Max, when did you first encounter Michael during your childhood in Orange County?
I think it was just my first, that pro event I played was the first time we had been around each other. I think our first round was at Arroyo Trabuco, which is where he teaches at. And I had seen the name. You see all these names all the time. There's a lot of guys out there that their name will pop up, and you know that they're not young because you don't see them at in college or whatever. But so you learn about what they do, figure it out, or whatever. So we played, and I thought he was a really good player, and he kind of met like expectation. But that was the first time. Obviously, I don't live there anymore. I don't see him a ton, but I'll see him at the tour events. I know he played San Diego this year, so I saw him there. And yeah, just keep up. You like to keep up with the people from kind of around where you're from. So always root for those guys to do well. Never really thought that would happen. Get 15th at the PGA and all that. But as far as a human being, like he deserves that praise. He's always been super, super nice. And every time you're kind of around him in these, even if we're not playing together in an event, he's a nice guy to go up to and say hi. And he's just usually in a great mood and kind of just a joy to be around.
And what do you think his week has done for growing the game, not just in Southern California, but beyond that too?
It's always tricky the grow the game thing, but I mean, he ruined it for the next PGA Pro to get warm for 2 days at the PGA. You're going to see a guy in 20th next year if it's not him, and there's a lot of expectation. They don't dunk a hole in one. I think that's what Tiger did to the rest of us. So, but yeah, I mean, I just think it at its core is what golf's about. That kind of the any given Sunday thing. You go out there, you play your game. Nobody can play defense, and you can go show the world how great you are at golf. I think it got people excited to play. I think it got people excited to watch golf, especially him. And that's always going to be a good thing.
Amy?
Max, what are some of the challenges or even benefits of playing the week after a major?
The benefits are the course feels easier. I don't know. It's tricky. Like after Augusta, I didn't have my game at Augusta, and then you go try to play that course for 4 days and find it, and that's just not ever really going to work too well. And you end up being so spent from the chase that I got to Hilton Head, and I just didn't want to be there, and I wanted to just go fix what I needed to work on. I just knew I needed a bit of time, and as much as missing that cut drove me crazy, it was nice to have a couple days to just be by myself and work on some stuff with my coach and just get to tinker a little bit and feel right again by the next week. But the benefits of it at times are you almost like in a good way let your guard down. You learn so much in majors. Last week I learned so much about what I need to improve on, not just physically but mentally, and I think this provides a great opportunity to work on those things. Everything's under such a microscope at a major for yourself that you see where you got exposed, and you can put that to good use immediately, having this event for me right after that.
What are some of those things you felt like you did learn last week that you're going to apply this week?
Yeah, just emotional discipline, just too reactionary to subpar swings or bad breaks or missed putts or whatever it may be, bogeys. And I'm sure, I do that. Well, I know I do that on regular weeks, but I think you can almost like overcome that at times. The courses aren't as demanding. The field's not always as good. So you can kind of like skate by here and there. You get a little bit, it's just not as heightened. So those are things you learn and you pick up on. Whereas, sometimes I played well at the Wells Fargo a few weeks ago, and I thought I kind of like found that emotional discipline. I thought I was so good, and then you realize, mentally, so good, and then you realize that my next tournament was the PGA. I was so excited about how I'd found a little bit there, and it's always something something to work on. So it's nice to physically, you're tired after majors or whatever, but it's nice to get to go practice that this week and see it as a speed bump and not a brick wall.
So, anything else? All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Max.
you, guys.
Play well.